The 2024 Paris Olympics have been going strong. We've seen some daring scenes from athletes slipping and missing a medal spot, to new athletes making a name for themselves at an Olympic level. So, without further ado, here are some epic moments from the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Prompting her to stop to get her left ankle taped. Total score of 172.269. On day 2 of the 2024 Paris Olympics, the world's most...
At number 8, we have Simone Biles. We were all there, weren't we? Thousands of us jammed into the Bercy Arena on July 30th, 2024, eyes peeled on the queen of gymnastics herself, Simone Biles, and then poof, she's gone. Our jaws hit the floor. It was like a bad dream, a flashback to Tokyo. But hold on to your hats, folks, because it wasn't a mental health thing this time. Nope, our girl was just dealing with a pesky calf injury. Can you imagine the kind of courage it takes to push through that in front of the entire world? We mean most of us would have thrown in the towel and ordered pizza. Not Simone. She tapes up her leg like a champ and heads back out there. And when she did, oh man, she was on fire. That floor routine, forget about it. Pure perfection. The vaults? We're still trying to figure out how she does that double pike thing. And the bars? She was so smooth, we thought she was gliding on air, but it wasn't about gymnastics at all. It was about grit, making a statement to the world that it is okay not to be okay, and that really, one can bounce back from setbacks. Simone Biles, you are truly an inspiration. And that performance, well, it's a moment we will talk about for years on end.
The bronze medal.
During the final round, Smith slipped on the corner of the board, flew off at an angle, and landed awkwardly.
Annabelle Smith having to work so hard, but this is going to really show up in the scores, unfortunately.
At number 7 on July 31st, the Australian diving duo comprising Annabelle Smith and Maddie Keeney was in the midst of securing Olympic gold. They were prepared to pursue bronze, given the mix in the synchronized 3-meter springboard, and it did seem all good. Sport can be ruthless at times, even the finest performers have awful moments. Before we get into the details, make sure to like and subscribe. With that said, let's get back into the video. Just think about it. You've trained your whole life for this moment, and you're inches from your Olympic dream. Then, in a flash, it slips away. That's exactly what happened to Smith and Keeney. Smith slipped on the board during their final dive and completely screwed up their routine. It was a gut-wrenching moment for the pair. Smith revealed that she screamed underwater. Can you blame her? It was a nightmare situation. To the credit of the 28-year-old, she showed exemplary strength and resilience in its wake. While this cannot erase the disappointment, she's determined to move on. These two have been diving partners for years, and they've achieved great things together. At number 6 on Wednesday, July the 31st, saw one of gymnastics' all-time upsets at the Paris Olympics. All bets had been placed on reigning champion Daiki Hashimoto of Japan, who was going to go toe-to-toe against another supernaturally gifted young man, Zhang Boheng from China. The two had been fighting against each other for years, so the air was electric with rivalry. But folks, here comes along another star. Shinosuke Oka is another Japanese gymnast who really rose to the occasion after recuperating from a serious knee injury. This young man was a rocket, soaring way ahead of everybody's expectations. Hashimoto, the defending champion, falls off the pommel horse. Ouch. Meanwhile, Oka is cool as a cucumber, sticking every landing and nailing every routine. What's the final score? You guessed it, Oka squeaked out a win by a hair, clinching gold with only 0.233 points. It's been a whirlwind few days, and we still can't wrap our heads around it. Japan takes the all-around title for the 4th consecutive Olympics. Kids like Oka, just legend in the make. We just can't wait to see what this kid does next. What a day for gymnastics.
Here she goes, world record mark, world record. Katie Ledecky of the USA.
At number 5, on Wednesday, July 31st, history was made in the pool. American swimming sensation Katie Ledecky absolutely dominated the 1,500-meter freestyle final at the 2024 Paris Olympics. It was a performance for the ages. Not only did she win gold, she demolished the Olympic record with 15:30.02. That's mind-boggling. She swam so far out in front that it seemed as if she was in a different race. Anastasia Kirpichnikova of France took silver, but Ledecky finished an entire 10 seconds ahead. But that's not all. That win tied Ledecky with the legendary Jenny Thompson for the most gold medals won by any female American Olympian, at 8. And if that wasn't enough, she is now tied for the most overall Olympic medals by any female American athlete, with 12. We're talking about a Hall of Fame career here. Ledecky has been dominating in the pool for years, and she doesn't show any signs of slowing. This is one of those sports moments we're going to be talking about for generations. Katie Ledecky, you are an absolute inspiration.
Athletes in the women's race, however, were more impacted by the slick road surface during the cycling section of the event following rain in the French capital.
At number 4, it was a women's triathlon, which was actually a disaster waiting to happen at the Paris Olympics. It was kicked off with all that mayhem about the River Seine. Come on, who thought swimming in a polluted river would be a good idea? But the real drama unfolded on the bike course. It was like something out of a demolition derby, not a triathlon. Athletes were flying every which way. One minute you'd see somebody leading the pack, the next they were spread-eagled on the wet pavement. It was carnage. Pure and simple. Imagine training your whole life to compete in the Olympics, only to have that race wrecked by a crash. There's heartbreak this morning for some athletes who were caught up in this mass pileup during yesterday's women's cycle road race, but also an amazing resilience as some of these women dusted themselves off, got back on their bikes, and kept going after taking a nasty tumble. Conditions were terrible. Wet roads, tight corners, and lots of world-class athletes pressing things to the limit. It was a perfect storm for disaster. And that's just what happened. It's just such a shame, really. Triathlon is such an exciting sport. This race, however, will remember more because of the crashes rather than the competition. Hopefully the organizers shall learn from this and ensure that something of the kind never happens again.
It triggers a break for the USA. Here comes James.
At number 3, on Sunday, July 28th, the U.S. men's basketball team opened their 2024 Paris Olympics campaign in style, dribbling Serbia 110-84. And let me tell you, it was a statement win. Kevin Durant, in his first game back to basketball since the playoffs, was red hot. He didn't lose a step, hitting his first 8 shots, including 5 three-pointers. It was like watching a video game. LeBron James was great too, running the show and making plays all over the court. Now, one of the keys to this game was the U.S.'s insane three-point shooting. They were lights out, nailing 18 out of 32 from beyond the arc. Serbia just couldn't keep up. It was an onslaught of threes and beautiful to watch. And definitely not to forget, the D did a nice job on the NBA MVP in Nikola Jokic. That wasn't easy. He was contained pretty well and forced into some turnovers. That was a big confidence win for Team USA. They looked dominant, and it bodes well for them in this tournament run. Can they ride the wave and bring home gold?
2 Canadian gymnastics hopefuls involved in the all-round final at the Paris Olympic Games, but the 22-year-old had a scary moment during the event.
At number 2, indeed the world held its breath on August 1st, when Canadian gymnast Felix Dolce dodged a bullet. So, this fellow was flying high, totally in command on the high bar, until suddenly the grip just snapped, like something out of a nightmare. He was dangling for a second before crashing down. One could feel the tension in the arena. Luckily, he landed okay, but he obviously was shaken up. Can you imagine? One minute you're up there doing your thing, the next you're falling to the ground. It's every athlete's worst nightmare. But Dolce's a tough cookie. He got back up there and finished the routine. Now that's courage. It's just a shame the equipment failure messed with his score. He went from 3rd place to 23rd, which is rough. But honestly, the real story is his bravery. Isn't that what the Olympics are about? Overcoming and showing heart? Dolce definitely did that. We'll have to wait and see. At number 1, July 31st, Paris Olympics pros were ready to let it rip in the BMX freestyle women's final. All eyes had been on Hannah Roberts, the queen of the sport, right? But hold up, Paris Benegas, that total badass from the US, wasn't having that. She'd already made a name for herself by placing 4th at the Tokyo Olympics. But this time, she would walk the talk. She was strong in her first run, don't get me wrong, but just wasn't big enough to get her onto the podium. So she went back out and really did kill it. Her second run was insane. Huge jumps, crazy flips, and she landed it all with such style. The crowd was going wild. When her score popped up, a 90.70, I was like, whoa, did that really just happen? Silver medal, baby. That, though, was a total emotional roller coaster. Seeing Paris crush it like that, man, it was inspiring. She's not just a great athlete, but she's a role model in her own right. 4th to silver in a few years? Big time deal. That's it for this one. If you're a fan of the Olympics, make sure to stay tuned for more epic moments from the 2024 Paris Olympics.